It's time for the Everyday Ag Podcast, and here's your host, Patrick Twining.
Well, hello and welcome to the very first edition of Everyday Ag Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Twining. Glad to have you on board, whether you're listening live or you're checking in later in the week on the YouTube channel. Like I said, happy to have everybody along, and it's going to be a fun time. This is going to be your informational session, your inside edition, if you will, to the grassroots agriculture, what we do every day on the farm and in the ag industry. Give you a quick synopsis about myself, quick intro to myself if you don't know me. I work on a dairy farm, old dairy farm in Wellington, Ohio. We now only milk 6 cows. We feed the pigs with those. And we grain farm, and I'm the third generation on that farm. My wife Emily is on the farm most days with me, and we kind of have a zoo, if you will. And when I say a zoo, you may laugh, but I'm not kidding. We've got probably about a dozen head of dairy cows on the farm, young stock and mature cows, 2 Hereford heifers that are my wife's, but it's a joint effort there. Then depending on the week, depends on the number of pigs that we feed out and raise. But there's probably, I think we're around 60 or 70 pigs right now that we feed out. And 2 dogs at the farm, 3 dogs at home, along with chickens and ducks and a pair of sugar gliders. If you don't know what those are, look them up sometime. They're kind of like little flying squirrels, if you will, but they are marsupials, nocturnal, so they keep us up some nights. And, at one point we did also own an iguana. So, and we have the fish tanks. So, like I said, it's really a zoo, if you will, of maybe the agricultural world. Like I said, the farm is a big part of my life. We do. I live and breathe ag every day, and it was kind of a brainchild here. Back in the fall of, hey, Patrick, why don't you do a podcast and talk about what you do every day? And, when that was first brought up, I said, well, I don't even know what a podcast is. Nobody will listen to that. Nobody wants to hear me talk, whatever. And then within the next probably 3 or 4 weeks, a couple more people brought that up that, hey, you should do a podcast. What you do every day is real interesting with everything you do, and I'll get into that here in a little bit. And so then it was, well, maybe we should look into this. Maybe I should, talk about what I do every day, and I did a little bit of research into that, and when I first came and met with the great people here at OBL, it was kind of, well, let's put out a feeler and see what we can do. And then all of a sudden it was, this really is a needed podcast, a needed sector of the community. And so here we are. We're going to talk about ag, and throughout these shows, you're not just going to have to listen to me blah for a half hour. We've also got a lot of interesting people that'll be coming in to talk about what they do in their sector of agriculture, what they do every day, and that's been real fun as this has progressed since I started. The brain work of it is people being interested in this podcast, and hey, we want to come on and talk about what we do. And so, you know what? Let's do it, and let's push the community, agricultural community. Let's help everybody out with the great backbone that we have here in Lorain County. So you know, the whole premise of this podcast in my life, like I said, has been farming. I'm the third generation here on Griggs Road at the farm. And if it wasn't for agriculture, if it wasn't for 4-H growing up, I'm not sure where I'd be. You know, and on a daily basis, I go switching gears anywhere from milking the cows in the morning, making sure that the calves are fed and taken care of, going out and checking on the pigs, making sure that the pigs are all fed and healthy and all that good stuff. And then most days I head to work in Litchfield over at Keller Meats doing processing. But I also might hook up the trailer in the morning and go haul livestock all day. And some mornings, most evenings, it's fielding phone calls and going out and inseminating cows, artificially inseminating cows, which started out in college because we hired that all done when I was younger, and it was one of those deals that, well, we've hired it done, but we have the cows and I have the knowledge, so why not go and do that? So, you know, I after high school, I went to Ohio State, spent 4 years down there learning more about agriculture. After school, after college, I went and worked in the industry breeding cows. Spent a year and a half, 2 years breeding cows. Went from that, bumped up to selling semen. And we'll get into all this. That'll be the March 13th show. So the 5th show, we're going to talk about the whole aspect of breeding cows and what goes into that, and the semen collection and all that great stuff. So anyhow, I went from breeding to selling semen, sold semen for a while, quit that, did a lot of fitting, cow fitting, which is clipping and, you know, making them look pretty like you see at the county fairs and stuff, not only for shows but for sales, and trucking to and from those sales. Did nutrition work for I think about a year in the dairy industry. Wasn't keen on that. That was a little above my wavelength, my brain length. So I went back into the working side of the dairy industry, milking cows, milking 240 both ends of the day in a double 12 parlor. So it'd take us about 4 hours to get that done. And and on top of all that, I'm also on the Lorain County Fair Board. So we've got that going too, and we'll talk about the fair pretty much all of July and August, pushing what we do at the fair, what the local county fairs are doing, the work that goes into that. I wasn't able to go this year, but a lot of, actually all of the 88 county fairs and 7 independent fairs just met in Columbus this past weekend for the OFMA convention, or the Ohio Fair Managers Association convention. And that kind of kicks off the fair year of seminars and meetings and, what have you, about what we've done the past year, what we're going to do next year, how each of us as a fair has, what we've done, and how we can talk to the other fairs about, hey, we've done this and it worked for us. If you try it, see how it works. But like I said, that's also another big part of my life is growing up in 4-H, and then now on Senior Fair Board, which is a meeting every month, plus committee meetings come and go as they will. And it's just a busy life in general, but like I said, I wouldn't do it any other way. We're going to take a quick break here. I have a question for you all. What do you know about herd shares? dairy herd shares. Have you ever heard about the creamy delight waiting for you at Carlisle Creamery? This is introducing the small herd share, bringing you the finest raw milk straight from the happiest pasture-raised Ayrshire cows north of Route 20. At Carlisle Creamery, the Hamkers believe in the purity of nature. Their cows graze on lush green pastures, producing milk rich in flavor and nutrients. Join their herd share and experience the goodness of fresh farm raw milk right in your own home. Get to actually know your producer. Know the cows. Meet the farmers, meet the cows that are making your milk that you're putting on your cereal in the morning and using, if you're making mac and cheese, what have you. Become a part of the Carlisle Creamery family today. You can look them up on Facebook or email them at carlislecreamery@gmail.com. That's capital C in Carlisle, capital C in Creamery, all one word, at gmail.com. Taste the difference at Carlisle Creamery, where every sip tells a story of pure, wholesome goodness. And above all else, know your producer. And that's one big thing that this show is going to key on. We'll actually be talking to the Hamkers on June 26th, the fourth week in June, the second show, if you will, as June is Dairy Month. And I'll have another special guest coming in the first show, June 12th, to talk about their side of the dairy sector also. But the Hamkers they're a fun family. They really are passionate about the dairy industry. They're passionate about their cows, and you're going to get a pure, wholesome, delicious milk when you get it from them. While we're talking about shows, let's kind of run down what we're going to be seeing here in 24. So the next show, January 24th, I'll delve into what is really behind, the history of my life, my predecessors, if you will, with, the Twining Farms history. Like I said, I'm the third generation on Griggs Road, but how did that start? What has gone into that? What have the hardships been, and the successes and all of that? And we're going to talk about that here next show. The first show in February, which I believe Gary said was Valentine's Day as I was driving in. So we'll see how that one goes for me on Valentine's Day. But we're going to be talking about how the pig side of the farm started. That's a very new industry at Twining Farms on Griggs Road. We've always just had dairy. We've never, before me, there's never been any other animals on that farm, domesticated animals, other than cows and dogs. So we're going to delve into that. We're also going to talk about the big, the big changes that had to be made at the farm, and they're still ongoing to accommodate the pigs. I've learned that they're not as hardy as most other animals. And so we've had to do a lot of revamping and remodeling, and we're going to start into that on the 14th. February 28th, I'll continue on that and dive into that more, because it really has been a year and a half process of growing and learning, and this worked, this doesn't. What do we need to change here? How do we need to do this? Hey, we need to talk to someone else locally that raises pigs and see what they've done and what works for them and whatnot. So we'll dive into that. And then in March, like I said, I'll talk about probably one of my most favorite things, which some people I know find squeamish, in bovine artificial insemination. To me, that's one big thing that I brought from college. I went to college wanting to be a vet. That was my goal from the day I graduated high school. Even before that, I'm going to go to Ohio State. We've got one of the best vet schools in the nation. I'm going to Ohio State. I'm going to be a vet. And as I was there, it was evident that maybe there was another calling for me in life, and maybe being a vet wasn't exactly the way I needed to go. And so I took just the regular dairy science classes, which part of that is artificial insemination, AI as I call it. Some of you may know AI is, what is that, artificial intelligence. I say AI and I don't even, I'm on a completely different thought process. But anyhow, when we did that part of class, it was very evident that was my knack. And so I took that and ran with it, along with the other things that I learned from Ohio State. But that was one of the big things that really stuck. And now I use that to help the local farms, one of which will be coming in. They'll be our first show guest, March 27th, and that's Lee and Liz Merrill out on 18, kind of towards Wakeman, Merrill Farms. They've got their own beef operation, plus they grain farm, and they're one of the farms that I breed cows for, inseminate cows for every year. And so we're going to have them in to talk about what they do every day, day in, day out, balancing the crop life with the beef life, and how they market those animals, how they decide which brood cows they're keeping, which ones they're selling, all that good stuff. And then April 24th, so April 10th, my setup for this show is if it lends itself that way, the first show of every month, you'll get to hear from me. I'll fill you in on what's gone on in the last month, what we're going to be doing in the coming month, so on and so forth. And then the second show is where my goal is to have a guest in. So April 24th, we'll have Hannah and Lee Vogel coming to talk to us about the actual large-scale pig raising operation. They're out in Western Ohio, not far west, but out in Western Ohio, and they're going to come in and tell us about what they do every day, raising hundreds and hundreds of pigs, and selling them and marketing them, and how they go about doing that. And then the second show in May, I've got one of my close friends, one of my longtime friends, Meg Kelly, will be coming in. I've known her since college, and she's grown up around horses. She also does leather work. She's started her own little business doing wallets and keychains, what have you, with leather. And so we're going to talk to her about that. And she also works for DFA, which is the kind of milk marketing, one of the big milk marketing companies that take the milk from the dairy farmers to the plants and then to the store. So she's going to fill us in on that. Like I said, in June, we've got Dairy Month. June is Dairy Month, one of my favorite months. So we'll have two different guests in, the Hamkers being one of those, to talk to us about the dairy industry and everything that goes on there. July, we'll be talking about Fair all month. August 14th, which is the week before the Lorain County Fair. I know John gets excited about Lorain County Fair, which of course I do too. But we're going to have the Lorain County Junior Fair Board coming in to talk to us about what they've done the past year, getting ready for fair that following week, and maybe what their projects are, and so on and so forth with that. The week after the fair, we've then got Finkel Farms Custom Harvesting coming in to talk about the upcoming harvesting season, combining soybeans, combining corn. They'll have just wrapped up the wheat season, talking about their custom operation as well as their trucking operation. And then in September, we've got Jessica Dorr, who has JD Mums and More, if you're familiar with that, out on Indian Hollow, and she plants tens of thousands of mums, if I'm thinking correctly, every year. Pumpkins, everything else to sell. And her husband, Brian, also have beef cattle. They also have some pigs. So there's another special guest that's going to be talking about balancing multiple different sectors. And then towards the end of the year, I'm still filling in those gaps. So I'll keep you updated as best I can with those. And if you tune into my Facebook page or the company Facebook page, Butter Pig Partners, I'll have the podcasts up there as well as my YouTube channel, Everyday Agriculture. And I'll keep the schedule up there too as I too can fine tune and tweak that. We're going to take one more quick break for another great helper to put this show on. Everyday Ag is brought to you in part by Keller Meats in Litchfield, just north of the Circle on State Route 83. They are your prime destination for all your locally sourced beef, pork, lambs, and goats, custom processing on all those, whether you order from them or you grow them yourselves and call and make an appointment to process there, as well as a full retail counter in the store. If you've never been over to our location over there in Litchfield, it's a great little storefront. And you can go to kellermeats.com for more information, or you can visit them on Facebook. So we appreciate everything that Tom and Kelton, Ryan, Kaylee, everybody there at Keller's helps us with, and what they do for the local ag community. So again, we appreciate that, and we'll be looking forward to hearing from them more, I suppose, here in the next couple shows as well. So I see we have a couple more minutes, so let's talk more about the thought process behind this show, and I guess what my goals are for this show as far as making sure that we can promote every aspect of the industry. If you have a sector that you're in, as far as maybe even raising bees, making maple syrup, stuff like that, and you'd like to be on the show, feel free to reach out. Love to have you on. We may be looking at 25 to get you on the show now, or we may even just, as I get more guests, I may just fill in the first shows of the month. You don't need to listen to me talk every show. I'm more than welcome to have you come in and talk about your side of the industry and what you're doing, and how that works for you. And that's kind of been the big I guess calling, if you will, for me, as I've been planning this out. As it started out that, well, can I fill a half hour 2 weeks out of every month talking about what's going on at the farm? I can. I guarantee you I can. There's plenty of stuff that goes on every day, and I could fill that, and I could bore you for a half hour at 6:30 on Wednesday nights. But when I first came here and talked to the great people here at OBL, and then left and started putting feelers out, it was evident that maybe this show should be to help promote Lorain County agriculture, local agriculture. I mean, that is the heart, the soul, the backbone of the state of Ohio and the nation. Farmers, if we didn't have farmers, where would we be? So I'd be glad to have you in if you're listening or you're tuning in later and you'd like to come in. You can always email me at butterpigpartners@gmail.com or go to the Facebook page or my personal page and shoot me a message. Even shoot me a message if there's a topic that you would like covered. If there's questions you have that you say you're at the store and something piques your interest about, well, how does this hit the grocery store, or how does this hit the local farmers market? That's what this show's all about, and that's what I'm here to do. It's going to be a fun ride, and I look forward to getting guests in and listening to what all of those people have to say. When I have guests in, you're not going to hear my voice very much, other than maybe asking a question that one of you reached out to me with about one of those shows, or questions that even I have about those industries. So it's going to be a fun time, and like I said, I'm looking forward to using this podcast, using this platform to promote the local farming community, the local ag community, as much as I can, more than it even is. That's one thing that COVID brought upon us all. I noticed, in the meat shop every day, that with all of the pandemic craziness, if you will, and the shortages we had, that really drove people to buying local beef, buying local pork, going to farmers markets, starting their own gardens. And so if this show can even help you to raise a better garden come spring, maybe we'll get a greenhouse or somebody in that can help you to get your soil right and know when to plant your certain vegetables, this, that, and the other. And again, with the meat side, that's why you'll see most of the people most of the guests I have in are mainly on the animal side. That's kind of my forte. But we're also looking for those sunflower guys, it's as the show said at the beginning, and I changed the name, everything agriculture, everyday agriculture. We're here to push it. We're here to promote it. We're here to help our neighbors. And by doing so, the world becomes a better place. Your money's staying local. It's not going to, the big Tysons, the big beef operations, the big Smithfield pork. And so that's what we're going to do. And I appreciate everybody that's tuned in, whether you're listening live or you're going to be listening on the YouTube channel at your convenience throughout the week. Or if you're going to tune back in again to, pick at me and laugh at me and everything else. Either way, it's been great to have you along. And we look forward to talking to you again on January 24th. Stay warm this next week because it's going to be super cold. I know here an hour and 15 minutes ago, I slipped off my heavy boots and bibs to come up here and talk. And the next looks like 10 days or so, we're going to be living in those bibs sun up to sundown, before sun up to after sundown, for all of you farmers out there that you don't know what a clock is, like me. So once again, thanks for tuning in to the very first Everyday Ag Podcast. and we look forward to talking to you again here in 2 weeks.